and welcome to my 517 Follow Friday series. Today, I am talking with Jenni Benson, owner of Healing Time Massage and host of the Naughty Mystic podcast. Jenni is a horticulturist, a licensed massage therapist in 3 states, a health advocate for Juice Plus and Tower Garden, and a nature enthusiast. Jenni, thank you so much for chatting with me today.
I'm excited to be here. Yay!
So I wanted to start just with a little bit about your massage services because we have something in common. And I didn't know this about you, but you travel to your clients and
Yeah.
provide services wherever they want their services to be provided. And that's what I do. I travel to my clients. Um, can you just talk a little bit about what led you to the world of massage and then why you decided to offer services this way?
Well, the story to get there is way longer than we probably want to get into. But let's just say, um, as a younger person, I really wanted to help the world, and I thought I was going to do it in a different avenue. And then, life happens and plot twists. So, I I do help the world in my own way in multiple facets. And when I chose massage as one of those, it was actually supposed to be something else, but ended up being massage. And I love it. I just didn't know that I had these opportunities to help people in such a way because uh, I also have gifts that I'm an intuitive empath, psychic medium. They say it comes, it goes. When I'm touching people, messages come through. There's sometimes explanations why people have chronic pain or why they have the pain that they do. I see visions, things like that. So my massages are not normal, I guess. In some ways, but I've always enjoyed the mobile aspect versus being in an office. I've worked for other people. I've tried renting space and have my own place before. That just doesn't work for me. I need to move. Things change.
Yep.
I like ebb and flow. Um, I think that answers the question, but I
Yeah.
just like I like different scenery, but also I have found life happens fast sometimes, right? And so if you're I in my mind I think of it being stuck somewhere and somebody changes, because a whole day could change within a half hour. So
Yeah.
I've been places where I had a full schedule in an office space, and one thing leads to another. People cancel, stuff happens, and then you're out a whole day. Where to me, I have scheduled days, and if things ebb and flow, people cancel or have to be moved around. uh there's times where the day fills up or gets less in minutes, and that's okay because then I can ebb and flow other things going on and
Right.
not feel that I'm stuck in one place.
Right. Do you feel like people really like that aspect of you coming to them as opposed to having to go to an office somewhere?
I feel like people are in two different categories that I've learned. Because even though I have travel massage and mobile massage all over my website, some people still don't see that. So they think they're coming to me, and I'm like, no, no,
Yep.
no, I've come to you. And there are people who are into I call them two different camps, I guess. The one that wants to go somewhere so they can escape their whatever they're doing, so they can have just some quiet peace, not have to deal with whatever. And then there are those that uh don't mind that you come into their place, whether it's because they have a health issue or they can't drive or they
Yep.
can't see or they can't move or whatever, or um, they get so relaxed or there things that happen in such a way that it's better for them to just have the massage at their home because then they have had issues with driving home or they feel like they get so stressed out from being at some location and then coming back.
Right. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Okay.
So yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I was reading through some information on your website, went through some of your testimonials, and there was definitely a common theme, just about you having a very intuitive nature when you're working on clients. And I'm just wondering, do you often find that you'll meet with a client and they'll say, oh, I've got like this, it's my neck, or I've got this spot on my back, and they think they know where the pain is, and then you start working on them and you're like, nope,
Yeah.
surprise, it's somewhere else.
Yeah. Yes. Again, that's a couple of things. First, yes, I've had that issue. That's why I'm always asking if they're open for me to work in other areas. Um, some people are very new to massage, and I just had someone last week that I had never worked on. I've worked on the wife, but I'd never worked on the husband. Didn't know that the husband hadn't had very many massages, so in his mind, it was just going to be in one specific area, and it had to be more than just that, so it became just a longer area because it was a whole back area, not just one specific. um Also, when I'm touching people with my intuitive stuff, I call them energy pockets. People sometimes have what I call energy pockets. I don't know what else to call it. And I'll have an instant reaction to that. Sometimes it's a feeling. I've had instant headaches before. I've actually had pain or nausea, especially with a lot of my chronic people that have a lot of chronic autoimmune stuff. But it's coming from something specific that's happening. At least that's what I have found. It sometimes people have memories that people are holding grief or heartbreak or anxiety or stress, and it's coming in those energy pockets versus real like tension or knots. I mean, it can be a combination, but sometimes it's just an energy pocket because they're holding on to that emotion or that memory, and that just needs to be released in its
Right.
own way.
So you mentioned kind of the chronic illness, chronic pain, and I have some different connections with people through my nonprofit work that suffer from different chronic illnesses. And I'm just curious, how can massage really help those people?
Well, it's for them. Everybody's different. I always specify that because some people cannot handle touch very much, and I have had horrible experiences with people. Even though they need a really light touch, and some people's light touch is not really light, or they're not willing to go as light as they need because, again, whatever their background or whatever their technique, because everybody's different as a massage therapist.
Yeah.
um I have a lot of clients, current and over the years, that have like pacemakers or the body stimulator, the things that are actually put into their their stimulators for different parts of their spine or nerve endings or whatever. And then I've also had people who have had rods in them. I have people who have all different types of autoimmune diseases. So, and everybody's different. One day I have one client that calls herself the rotisserie chicken because we never know what position she has to be in. And she keeps, we sometimes have to keep flipping her through the massage. So that she calls herself that. It's not, she's like, it's not working. We have to change a position. So, and I just work with what the person's dealing with at the time, because one massage could be one way. And even if somebody has like two massages in a week, one massage could be completely different than the next.
Yep.
So it really depends on the person and the situation. So
So the other topic I wanted to chat with you about is your podcast. And
yeah.
maybe we can just start with, how did you get into the world of podcasts, and how long have you been hosting the Naughty Mystic?
Well, okay, this is kind of a funny story to me. In 2020, friends of mine, we're into astrology. We like all some people call the woo-woo stuff, it's whatever you're into. And one of my friends, as the few of us were together, were like, Jenny, you really should write a blog about um astrology and sex and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, okay, whatever. And so it was in the back of my mind, but I wasn't really thinking about it. And then another friend that was in that same group several months later, she goes, I see you really being on podcast versus writing. And I'm like, what? Because I am not tech savvy. Well, in my mind, I'm not tech savvy. It's always a learning process, right?
Yeah.
So then my mind started reeling and I had to start looking into information because I knew nothing about it. And I had a beautiful experience. Everybody kept suggesting I talk to Amy Zander with
Mm,
Zedia Media. And we had a Zoom meeting, and I think we talked for an hour about all these different things about podcasting. And the one thing that she told me is like, if you're really going to do this, whatever your topic is, you're going to have to love it. Like,
right.
because that's what you're going to be doing. And I thought that was the best advice ever because I had a whole different idea of what I was going to do. Um, and I like too many topics to just be so narrowed on some kind of little tiny niche, because I'm
Right.
always changing things and whatever. So what I expanded to is the Naughty Mystic. And it's literally anything you want to talk about that's considered taboo. And what I
Right.
didn't understand at the beginning is that taboo can be anything for anyone.
Oh,
So
yeah.
nothing is off the table.
Right.
And I have talked about specific food so far. I've talked about some astrology. I did a pelvic floor interview with a pelvic floor specialist. I've talked to one of our local aura readers who's a psychic medium. Um, I talked to my naturopath in Arizona. I do specific topics. It's just me talking. It's not always interviews. And I haven't even talked about anything sexual yet. Well, at least my mind, it's not sexual, So that's why it's kind of funny because I'm like, I haven't even done anything with that yet. So there's just so many different topics and so many different avenues. I talked about omegas this year so far and how important they are and why they're important, and that kind of, I mean, it's really all kinds of things. It's
Right.
not just one area. Yeah.
And it's definitely, from what I could tell on your website, well, both websites, so the Healing Time Massage and Naughty Mystic, you really are talking about the things that you're passionate about. And so that comes through in your episodes and just your interaction with those people. Do you have a favorite episode so far that you want to share a little bit about?
Well, I don't know if I have a favorite one. I I'm such a curious person that like when somebody, and I already have like 5 lined up that I still have to edit and put out there that I I I'm just so curious. And there's things that I'm like, well, why didn't we know about this? Or why don't we talk about this? Or why is this a taboo subject? I mean, you would think food is not taboo, but that's taboo
Yeah.
too. Like it's so, life is just so unique. So anytime I find something to be interesting, I just do it. And I literally even talked about, first season I did talk about, because I'm a massage therapist, I do have continuing education courses that I take, not just for the state of Michigan, but for other states because of the relicensing. And in 2020, I had this anatomy class, and because of how it was set up, it was the gentleman who was in charge of it was in Colorado, and so it was a Zoom, and I have never done anatomy with an actual someone who has passed. It's always been um books and information like that. And this was an actual, going through and seeing the layers and taking things back, and
Right.
it was a male, and he went into a whole thing about circumcision and what it was in America versus the world, and it was 45 minutes, and I was like, why do we not talk about this now? I don't think of myself as male. I don't have male parts. So I never, why would I even think about foreskin? And so I did a whole episode about that, and people can, do your own research because that was like a whole other, year. But so
Right.
last year I talked about foreskin. This year I've talked about vaginas. So, you know, let's talk about stuff.
Are there any topics that you are like that are kind of like on the horizon that you want to talk about and you need people to talk with, like to do the podcast with?
I'm in the process of getting some information. And I have to talk to certain specific therapists, and I have put some information out there, and I'm waiting to hear back.
Okay.
Because of the specific categories that it is, and
Okay.
getting correct tools. So
Yeah.
yeah, the stuff is out there. I'm just waiting for the response. So
Okay.
yep.
All right. Do people ever come to you with topics and say, hey, like, I really think you should talk about this? Okay.
Actually, that is why I'm waiting for the specific therapist to come
Okay.
back with me and tell me how, if we're moving forward with this, or if I have to look for other people, because
Okay.
this is I would say it's a very sensitive subject right now.
Mhm.
And depending on how this lays out, there could be multiple therapists having an interview with this, because it just depends on how anyone perceives it. And part of it is I spoke to some of these individuals like early to mid June-ish, and since it's the summer, I'm assuming nobody's getting answers because people are on vacations and
Yeah.
whatnot. So I have to follow up on that. So yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else you want to share today? Anything related to the massage or the Juice Plus or the podcast? Anything at all?
Well, and just so for you guys who may never have heard of Juice Plus or Tower Garden, I'm an affiliate. And it's pure nutrition. Juice Plus is all plant-based. It is plant powders or gummies, are they come in shakes, there's bars, whatnot. If you want more information, it is real food. It is not some kind of supplement. The omegas are from plants too. There's no fish. If you're curious, just let me know. And I have a whole website on that. And there's also tower gardens where you can grow your own food year round, indoor, outdoors. Because there's a lot of, food scarcity, fear about food right now, if they're getting enough, all these different things. So, and you can grow it year round, indoors, outdoors, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this information. I'll put all of your contact information for both sites in the caption of the video. And if you're watching and you're looking for some self-care options, or you want to learn more about the podcast, you can head on over to those websites. If you're interested in being featured on the Follow Friday series, you can send me an email at Katrina@cornerstonelegalpllc.com. Thanks for watching.